high, feeling low, and it's out of your control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know, but I will guide you home. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know, getting high, feeling low, and it's out of your control. You should know that I won't leave you. I'll stay beside you. I'm never letting you go. You've been lost and alone in the city lights, I know, but I will guide you home.
I'm Rob Wheely, and I'm the CEO of Alloy Wheel Repair Specialists. We're the world's largest provider of wheel refinishing, remanufacturing, and wheel replacement. My dad was a car enthusiast, always working on cars of his own and new projects. That passed down to me, and it still grows with me today. Wheels have become the jewelry of the car. People want their wheels to look nice. We provide basic refinishing of wheels. We have remanufacturing facilities that provide extensive repair. We also have put all of our processes through an independent facility that's accredited. You can find those certifications on our website. We do it all. You bring your wheel to us and we'll figure it out. We strive for not just customer service experience, but customer excellence. We want to wow them so they come back each and every time. All of our technicians are trained and certified. We even have a master training course. It's important to love what you do. It's important to make employees feel a part of the team, and they're seeing the same rewards as you do. That's what helps us accomplish our goal. Everybody's our customer. The retail public, dealerships, body shops, insurance companies, warranty companies. We have a claims department. We're the ones that they call to come in and repair it. So if you find yourself in need of wheel refinishing, wheel repair, wheel replacement, or if you just want to custom color your wheels, give us a call. We'll help you find the right location, or you can go to our website. There's a locator on there to find the location closest to you.
Capital Subaru, we value your time, whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team. Everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway. Tonight is going to be the most anticipated race of the entire season, and it is about to get underway. It is the Capital Auto 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. Drivers just finishing up warm-up, checking every last piece of the car. They're getting ready to go green. And you are watching the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. And let me tell you something, these guys are excited. They're fired up. And we're getting ready to get the engines fired up and get going here. I think we have about 20 seconds left in practice, and that's going to wrap it up. Remember, last week, qualifying was set by the duels, so we are not going to have any qualifying tonight. We're just going to get straight on into it. Drivers now going to be taking the grid here. Once we get to one of these guys, we will get to our pre-race festivities. Let's get started with your race info. Just in case anybody out there isn't quite sure where we're at, it's the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, big 2.5-mile super speedway oval. These guys are going to be absolutely flying. I'm talking speeds upwards 190s, maybe even 200s, depending on how aggressive they decide to get. It is the Capital Auto 250, presented FastTrack Sim Repair Cup Series, Sim Racing Cup Series, rather, excuse me. It's going to be 100 laps tonight, 100% fuel, 3 sets of tires. Remember, no fast repairs. And it is an open setup lead, 3 green-white checkers, and something that we will be making sure to talk more about as the race goes on. This is race 1 of 5 for the No Bull 5. Wind not going to be a factor tonight. Cloudy skies. Nice 70-degree weather. Let's get into your starting grid. Starting first tonight, gets the pole. We saw him win his duel last week. It's going to be Joshua Watson to his outside, winner of duel 2. Going to be starting second. Is going to be Alan Pajari. Third, Brian Watson. Fourth is, and actually, Alan Pajari, from what I remember, I didn't think he won the second duel. It was Tyler Marble, I thought, one of the marbles. Either way, though, Alan Pajari starting second. Third is going to be Brian Watson. Rounding out row 2 is going to be Tyler Marble. Fifth, Richard Elliott. Sixth is going to be Jeff Marble. Seventh, Sean Kaltenbach. Eighth, Cody Graham. Ninth is going to be Danny Gutierrez. Rounding out row 5 is going to be Eddie Musso Jr. 11th is going to be Kyle Oakley. 12th, Brian Conklin. Moving down the field, 13th, Scott Naisland. 14th, Jeff Shutt. Row 8 is going to be Jerry Isaacs, Cody Richardson. 17th, Carl Dotson. 18th, Johnny McCulcheck. 19th, Cody Matthews. 20, Bill Benedict. 21st is going to be Ryan Shiro. 22nd, Joe Musso. 23rd, Patrick Steen. 24th, Tracy Powers. 25th, Andrew Kotska. 26th, Jared Bundy. 27th is going to be Andy Tico to his outside, Austin Fitzgerald. 29th, Dave Sanders. 30th, Cody James. 31st is going to be Nick Kitchie. 32nd, Jeffrey Souza. 33rd, Jacob Musso. 34th is going to be Matthew Gearinger. 35th, Ryan Haynes. 36th, Glenn Grigsby. 37th, Brett Spod. 38th, Scott Glasso. 39th, Todd Shiro. 40th, Brian Curry. And the last car in the field tonight is going to be Wes Hurd Jr. Pace car getting ready to pull off. We're getting ready to go green for the biggest race of the year. Green flag is out. We're underway in the Capital Auto 250 at Daytona. All these guys barreling down into turn 1 for the first time. Everybody's going to have to get a feel for each other. Ryan Watson, though, got a pretty early, pretty solid jump. I'm going to turn this audio down. I apologize for that being a little loud. Down the backstretch, though, it's still Joshua Watson, out in charge. He's got his teammate behind him, Brian Watson. Those two work so good together in the duels and in the clash. Of course, Joshua Watson came home with the duel win last week, and he's going to try to lead the charge early. So many factors going to come into play tonight, and I'll tell you what, these guys are going to want every race, but they're going to want this one maybe a little bit more than some of the other ones, knowing that it is the first of the No Bull 5. Some cash going to be on the line for the driver with the best average finish at the end of it, I believe is how it works. 41 cars is a massive pack here at Daytona. Down the backstretch to complete lap 2 so far. Let's take a look a little farther back. Everybody's still hanging together. I thought maybe we'd see a little bit of separation. Nothing yet, though, but we do see farther back Cody Matthews sitting in here in the 18th spot, up 1 spot currently from where he started. But a driver is going the opposite direction right now. That'd be Matthew Gearinger, currently down 6 spots from where he started in that 31 machine. Behind him is Glenn Grigsby, and this is that second pack that we're already seeing form just ahead of him up here a little bit farther. We see drivers such as Jeffrey Souza And then Ryan Haynes is leading that second pack, driver out of Center Hill, Florida. I think this pack is just sitting back right now. They know it's a long race. 100 laps is a long ways to go, especially at a track this big. And they're just going to play it conservative here early. Don't want to get yourself in any trouble. And if we pull up the track map, you can see it right there. There's your 2 packs separated. It looks like maybe this first pack's starting to get lined up a little bit all of a sudden on this top lane. The 17, that's Kyle Oakley. He's going to try to make the bottom work. Looks like he has Scott Naisland behind him. Tyler Marble hanging strong in the top 10 on that outside, the 48 machine. 5 laps down, and I'll tell you what, this is one of those races that doesn't feel like you really ever get a chance to settle in and kind of watch for things to happen. Just so much chaos going throughout the field, and further back it looks like we might have saw some 3 wide. Everybody keeps it together, holds on to it for now. And if you guys can, just let me know on stream how everything looks. 41 cars in the field is a lot of load on the PC. Let me know if it looks laggy so I can get everything fixed for these guys up front. Still Joshua and Brian Watson. We didn't really get to give any extra shout out to your pole sitter, but that's a big deal. JBR E-Racing driver, they had a strong showing. They had most of their guys in Dual 1 last week. Daytona's a little different. We got a guy blinking, 3rd car back. Looks like it straightens itself up. Now Alan Pajari is going to drop down to the bottom lane. He's going to try to get it led. Five laps down. These cars, we didn't talk about it just yet, but in terms of fuel window, these guys are going to be able to go somewhere between 42 to 46 laps, maybe a little bit more. Or maybe a little bit less, rather. I'm going to say more like 40-ish laps, give or take a couple. Just depends. If you're leading, you are, of course, burning the most fuels. It looks like Richard Elliott blinking a little bit. So is the 48 of Tyler Marble. A lot of cars in the field. Everybody's internet trying to keep up with it. Tell you what, let's try closing this Discord out real quick. Maybe this will help us out a little bit on the quality. 6 laps down. Up front, it's been the 01 since we dropped the green. Let's take a ride on board with one of these drivers further back in the pack, see what they're looking at. As these 2 lines have pretty much trying to start drawing back even, being led by Alan Pajari on the bottom. We're going to ride on board right here. Mr. Scott Naisland in the 22. You see him behind Kyle Oakley in the 17. Kyle kind of popped up on the scene last week in the duels. Had a decent run, but he wants to certainly have a much better run tonight. If you can get the win at Daytona, you already set your season up. Something about this track just makes it so much sweeter than any other track that these guys head to on the circuit the whole year. Biggest race of the season, and for many reasons, looks like Jeff Marble making his way up here in the 15 alloy wheel repair specialist machine. You saw him on the outside there. Up front, though, have not seen much competition. These 2 JBR E-Racing drivers of Joshua and Brian Watson, they're not going to make a move on each other right now. Neither is Richard Elliott. But I think further back, we would see a couple moves right now. Of course, Danny Gutierrez, that 4th JBR E-Racing driver. So with 4 of their teammates stacked up on the top, you better believe they are not going to be going anywhere right now. It's going to have to be this bottom lane being led by Alan Pajari, who doesn't have any teammates in the field that I know of. You wouldn't know that because he seems to get everybody to work with him, and that's kind of just a factor of if you're a fast driver and you know how to go to the front, everybody wants to work with you, and that seems to be the case for the 34 so far tonight. Take a look from the spotter view here. Watch the pushing this 04 does on the bumper of the 01 if he gets to him right here. Sure enough, here he goes. Boom. Little tap right in the back. Links on, and look at that car. Look at the gap they're creating on the 02 of Richard Elliott right now. That's the speed difference you can make in these cars. The next gen's different than any other series when it comes to bump drafting and tandem drafting. You don't need 3 or 4 cars necessarily like we see in some of the other series. These big runs sometimes can come from just 2 to 3 cars. And you can see it right there with the 04 and the 01. I think they're just kind of working on some things right now too. They got the lead. They feel comfortable. Now's the time to try everything you want. And we see him approaching 195 down there into turn 1. These speeds are going to pick up as the day progresses. Guys are going to get more aggressive with pushing. And the harder you push, the faster you're going to go up front. Let's take a look on this second pack if we can find him back here. See if they've decided to close up into 1. They have not just yet. And you can see it on your track map. in the top right. Actually, looks like we have 3 packs now. This backpack currently being rounded out by Glenn Grigsby. We go up a couple cars, handful of cars actually. Nick Kitchie is going to be in the second pack. So is Jeffrey Souza, and then Cody James is going to be one of those last cars in this main pack. So I'm a little surprised to see it break into 3 packs here as early as it has. With these next gens, sometimes handling can become an issue, and it is a lot easier to lose the draft compared to any of the other series as well. All it takes is just a little slip up, and if you don't have a push coming, you really can lose the draft just like that. Looking out the back of Danny Gutierrez, saw Alan Pajari to his inside, Sean Kaltenbach behind him. And remember, no stages, no scheduled cautions. This could be 100 laps under green, depending on how these guys all run it. Do let me know if the audio is too loud for you guys. Still working on some things. We got a lot of new drivers, new teams here on Ghost Racing Network. "11 laps completed. We are just over 1/10 of the way through. Let's go over your top 5. First is Joshua Watson. Second, Brian Watson. Third is going to be Richard Elliott. Fourth, Danny Gutierrez. And fifth is going to be Tyler Marble. Let's look at the lap times compared between this front pack and some of these other packs. Take a look here. Joshua Watson, his last 2 lap times were a 46. It's like a 46.5 and a 46.0. Pretty speedy. Let's take a look back. Glenn Grigsby here, 46.2. So you see running slower. Matthew Gearinger, all these guys, they just don't quite have as much speed, which they could generate it, but you see they're not running quite as tight as that front pack was, and they're racing it up a little bit. How about this middle pack? Let's take a look at Eddie Musso Jr.'s lap times. 46.0, 46.5. So they're running a little bit closer, just not quite as consistent. That's what you get when you're in the middle of this front pack. Up front, though, the top lane still showing a lot of dominance. That's where these two have been riding. But now we see Tyler Marble drop down in front of Alan Pajari, and they've got to run. We'll see how far they can get with it as the 34 is locked onto the bumper at the moment. Look from the screenshot view, and you can see it there, slowly creeping up on that bottom line. That's what he said. What is Jacob Musso's number? We'll get that for you in just a second. Looks like we do have a driver off track right now. It is going to be Nick Kitchie, as you see the field blowing by right now. Not what he wanted right now. Definitely don't want to end your Daytona 250 early. Getting on pit road, getting a couple laps down early may not be too big of a factor, as impressively enough, we still have 40 cars on the lead lap. As this race goes on, that will change. We will not see as many guys on the lead lap. Here's Jacob Musso in the 95 machine. Driver out of Caddo, New York. The Musso Speed Shop. Got a little pack back here. They don't have to worry about avoiding potentially the big one like this front pack might have to do. And I haven't said it yet, but I think we all are thinking it, and we all know it. The big one's going to strike here sooner or later. We saw Rex in the duels, and those guys weren't really going for much more than a starting position in this race. These guys going to be putting it all on the line at the end of this race. I think the saying, checkers or wreckers, might apply very nicely to this one. And we are 14 of 100 laps in here. How about a little FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series? Crank it up. Here we go. Ryan Watson still holding the field in tow. That is going to wrap up our first Crank It Up segment, official Crank It Up segment at least, of the season. And you see these cars starting to get a little squirrely. We heard it when we were riding on board there with one of the drivers, I believe. It was the 10 of Cody Matthews. That's who it was. He was not full throttle through the turn. Daytona, big drafting track. These front two, for example, especially the 01, Joshua Watson, he is wide open. But the further you go back in the pack, handling on these cars starts to play a role. They can get very aero tight, especially off the corner when they have the least amount of downforce. Sometimes that's where these things can start to become a handful. They want to either get really tight, the nose wants to go up the track. Other times they can get loose out of nowhere, the back end wants to swing around. So you will see these guys playing with the throttle. And I think we will see less and less daring moves as we start to get on older tires and the run continues. But 17 laps, all green so far to start. Looks like Nick Ketchie did go off the track. It looks like he is back on now. Or no, he is actually not, unfortunately. He is retired from the race as of right now. But we can go take a look to see if something happened to him. I'm not sure if he went off track here or what, if he just parked it. Let's see if we can get any insight into it. You see he's already on the apron right here. He was drafting. It's Jacob Musso. Oh, and he is going to blow that thing up. That's what happened to Nick Ketchie. Oh, no. Unfortunate mistake early for the 13. Let's ride on board with him real quick and watch this thing go kaboom. There it is. You saw it right there. Was he in fourth gear right here? Oh, he was. And that's a little bit of an odd mistake there if he was riding around in fourth gear, because we go back live here and you see Joshua Watson. He is currently riding, if we can get to him here, he's currently riding around in fifth gear. I'll show you his cockpit view. There it is. Look on that electronic dashboard, gear 5. I'm not sure why Nick would have been running in 4 in a pack. Sometimes you will have to shift down to fourth gear in these next gens, depending on if you're losing a run, trying to catch back up. But you usually don't ride around in fourth gear, especially in the draft. Little bit of a rookie mistake maybe, but that with no fast repairs is going to definitely end the 13's day. He is going to finish 41st in the Capital Auto Daytona 250 FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. If you're just joining in, get yourself a drink, get comfortable. We have got a good one in store. Only 20 laps in, not even quite a quarter of the way through. And we have yet to see these guys single file out so far side by side, but those top 6 on the top, nobody's really had much for him just yet. We're going to see if that changes as the race goes on, but right now they're just looking strong. Take a look from the blimp cam here, actually creating a little bit of separation. And you see that 34 of Alan Pajari is certainly trying everything he can to get Tyler Marble up there, but he just hasn't really been able to right now. Carl Dotson in the 29. Behind him, the 51, Jerry Isaacs. And if you're in this outside lane right now, you kind of get the advantage. You can save a little bit of fuel. I know people say, what's the point of fuel saving right now? I'll tell you why you want to save fuel. Because it is going to matter on the pit stops. You don't have to necessarily worry about being the only one that can make it. But if you can take a little bit less fuel on your pit stop, that can help you go from 15th, 20th, back up to the top 10. Maybe get with that lead draft. Blue Jay says my PC crashed. Did he acknowledge the correct pronunciation? Yes, I did see your thing about Kato. I was waiting to see when I would next have to say his name. But thank you for letting me know. Everybody still hanging on the lead lap. Just one car retired right now, but Glenn Grigsby. A couple of these other guys here. We got this one smaller pack starting to form into a bigger pack. It is currently being led. Looks like here by, is that Austin Fitzgerald? Nope, looks like it is going to be Wes Hurd Jr. in the 12 machine leading this pack. Wes was not in the duels last week, but here he is on the 29th at Daytona. And I'll tell you what, I know everybody wants to go for the win, but for some of these new guys, some of these rookies especially, just a top 15, top 10 finish in the Daytona 250 presented by Capital Auto Group, that's a big deal. That's a lot of momentum to carry for the rest of the season. We will be showing you the schedule later, but a lot of the tracks that get technical, you're going to need good finishes and good points at tracks like these, and with no stages like we see in real NASCAR, that changes up the point scenarios for some of these guys. They can't really just fight for stage breaks. They have to go for it from the drop of the green here if they want a chance at it. but the 01, the 04, the 02, and the 08 Danny Gutierrez, they are all looking really stout and fast on that top lane for JBR E-Racing. And if I had to pick a team that I think might be one of the front runners this season, that would be my pick. These guys down the backstretch just slicing and dicing. The 48 of Tyler Marble, Alan Pajari, they have not given up on trying to get to the front, but they've just not been able to make it happen. Not sure exactly why, but for some reason the bottom just not showing a lot of speed right now. I know the guys can carry a little bit more momentum on that top lane, especially as we get on older tires here. And the more we see this, I was just going to say the more we're going to see guys jump to the top. Then we saw a couple people drop right down to the bottom. Looks like it is going to be the 51 Jerry Isaacs, Cody Richardson. Alan Pajari dicing around a couple times. Thought about maybe going back to the bottom. He's seen a couple more guys commit, and ultimately, though, it's going to stay to the top. We do see a little break in the momentum of that top. We'll have to see if that helps out at all. A little bit of a gap between these four. And I think after pit stops, these guys are going to be trying to pull away. Pit stops, of course, going to be coming sometime within the next 15 to 20 laps. Do you pit early? Do you pit late? I think some of these guys are thinking we may have a caution at some point or another in this race. 100 laps, though, that is going to be 2 pit stops. They're not going to be able to make it on just one. Doesn't matter how hard you try to save. But do you take less fuel now and then take more in the final run, or do you take more now and less in the final run? All strategy that these guys are going to have to think about. And knowing that there's a chance that we may not get any cautions, you can't mess up your pit stop. You have to be perfect. These next gens are a little bit difficult to get slowed down sometimes, but you don't want to mess it up. If you got to go in there a little bit more conservative, lose a couple spots, you got to do it. You just don't want to speed. If you speed, get a penalty. If you go a lap down, especially as this race goes on, we're going to see more and more drivers start to lose a lap. You're asking for trouble in the race. We talked about this in pre-race. Let's mention it again. You see it up there in the top right now, the No Bull 5. That is going to be a string of races sponsored by Capital Auto Group, who, of course, is the sponsor of tonight's Daytona 250-mile race. And how it works, if you've ever seen the Xfinity Dash for Cash, a very similar concept. These guys, of course, going to be fighting whoever has the highest average finish. From what I've heard, it's either points or finish, but I believe it's who has the highest average finish out of the 5 No Bull races, which are going to include the super speedways and a couple others. Of course, we will let you know when they're coming up. They're going to win themselves some money at the end of the season. So not only are you winning the biggest race of the year by winning here at Daytona, but you're also setting yourself up nicely for the No Bull 5 challenge. Tell you who else is setting themselves up nicely. Joshua Watson and Brian Watson. Richard Elliott, Danny Gutierrez. No one has anything for him right now with open setups. Gotta wonder if something with these four being teammates, they got the same setups for this kind of track. And they just link up so much better than anyone else. On the bottom, we're still seeing Jerry Isaacs, followed by Cody Richardson. They are trying desperately to get something going, but they just haven't been able to do it. Let's pull up your track map, where you see this lead pack has made quite the gap now on the rest of the field. And let's actually take a look at just how many cars are in this lead pack. It looks like it is going to be Jared Bundy is the last car in this lead pack. So that is going to make a 28-car lead pack right now. Wes Hurd Jr. leading the second pack. It looks to be about 10, 15 cars, not 10 to 12 cars maybe. Actually, looks like it's 9 cars if I counted correctly. Brian Curry, Cody James, some of the guys in it. And then we have a couple of stragglers back here, and it looks like it's going to be Matthew Gearinger and Jacob Musso. Jacob's definitely going to need a caution at some point to rebound. With no stages or no comp cautions, he is hoping those guys can tear each other up front. The way we've been running so far, it's been nice and clean. I don't look to see that happen. What I do look to see happen that I'm getting excited for is green flag stops, and we just saw a car wiggle further back. That looked like one of the Mussos. Was this Eddie Musso? Sure enough, it was in that 94 machine. Got a little loose coming off 4. Remember, these guys are now 30 laps into the tire run, and they are starting to feel it. I promise you, if you're out front, car maybe handling a little better, you got clean air, a little bit more downforce than these guys in the pack and dirty air. They're certainly starting to get a little bit wobbly as this thing goes on. And we will see if these Here we go. We see a little something here. These guys dropping to the bottom. I don't necessarily think they're going to pit yet. It just depends on how they decide to split it up, though. But going to the bottom, especially how fast they're running up top, sometimes is a sign of pit stops to come. Nobody goes this time. And remember, they can't wave the hand like they can in real life. So do you take the risk of just trying to stick with your team down pit road, not tell anybody, chance get ran over? Or do you let the whole field know and risk getting a bunch of guys maybe you didn't want to drag down pit road with you? I always thought at Daytona you got to make sure you pit with 2 or 3 drivers, but I feel like maybe you don't want to go in with that first pack. A lot of guys going to try to go in with them. Big chance for crashes. If you crash on pit road, you are not guaranteed a caution. If the caution doesn't fall when you crash on pit road, you're probably going to go a lap down. Johnny McCallcheck, the 72 machine, he's having a good night up here in the top 20 right now. Ryan Shiro is actually in the 20s, so my bad, I did get that incorrect. Still learning some of these guys. Joe Musso sitting back here in 28th right now. He's looking for a drafting partner. Up front, though, top 5, still Joshua Watson, Brian Watson, Richard Elliott, Danny Gutierrez, Jerry Isaacs, and Cody Richardson. So Cody Richardson, top 6 actually, but Cody Richardson's trying to break into this top 5. Gonna need working pretty good together. Mad Sim Racing driver Jerry Isaacs, and of course his teammate Cody Richardson. If you couldn't tell, just look at the numbers on those 2 machines. Pretty similar colors, both being red, that is. Oh, we see the 2 lose it. Can he save it? Oh, he does, but we got one up in the wall. That's the 29. Carl Dotson, he keeps it together. And somehow, oh my goodness, what a save from the 2 car. Boy, I thought for sure he was going to be going around right there. Somehow he held on to it, though. That was Sean Kaltenbach. Oh my goodness, you can see just how out of control these guys are getting here early. That single file line up front, this is the point where maybe you just worry about trying to make it to that pit stop. I don't think we're going to see a lot of guys trying to advance position anymore. You see this long single file line just continuing to get longer. The more and more guys dropping to the bottom, the greater the chance that we're going to see pit stops. They are, of course, in their window now for that 2 pit stop strategy. Nobody going to be able to make it on 1. Doesn't matter how good you are at saving fuel. But I think right now, if I'm anybody further back, I'm going to try to follow the strategy of this JBR e-racing team because they seem to have it figured out. Joshua Watson took the green flag on pole, and he has kept it that way since. Had all 3 of his JBR e-racing teammates in tow. We saw a run from that inside early. These guys were actually hanging on the outside as it looks like somebody goes off the track for a minute, comes back on. That was Sean Kaltenbach. They just seem to have it figured out so much better than everyone else, don't they? If you are just joining in, you are watching the Capital Auto Daytona 250 here in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series presented by the Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist. It's the first of the Noble 5 races. Driver with the best average finish at the end of all 5 is going to be going home with some money similar to the Dash for Cash. But beyond that, the biggest race of the season is here at the World Center of Racing. You are watching here on Ghost Racing Network, of course, with the Green Ghost. I want to thank everybody for coming out that's tuning in so far with us. We are currently racing to our first set of green flag pit stops, kind of starting to get into that part of the race where everybody tries to settle in, tick off some laps. We're going to have to see who can pit cleanly. On old tires, these things really like to slide through the box. A lot of these guys in practice were practicing the pit stops. That's for at the end here. They need to do them right. They don't accidentally mess up. You can't bank on a caution because if you don't get one, you are certainly going to be upset that you were trying to wait for one. But this pack further back, they are going to have a lot of work to do. Of course, Jacob Musso, no drafting partners right now. He will be in danger of going a lap down. So will Matthew Gearinger, Joe Musso, and a bunch of other guys in this second pack, led by Wes Hurd Jr. in the 12 machine. They don't necessarily need a caution. They've got a long ways to go here still with 65 laps remaining, but I'm telling you, in order to make up the deficit they've got right now, they were really going to need to start pushing. They are down over 8 seconds, it looks like right now, from the back of that lead draft. So, man, they are really going to have to figure something out, get it going. And actually, that is not the lead draft. That is the second pack. As you see, we just continue to break this group into more and more packs. That track map was pretty tight early. Not the case anymore, but you know what? We saw our first round of pit stops. You see these guys on pit road now. Joshua Watson let him down. This is going to be all the JBR E-Racing guys and a couple more. We'll see who wins the race out. Looks like Joshua Watson's going to win it out, followed by Brian Watson, the 08, Danny Gutierrez, the 02 of Richard Elliott, Alan Pajari. So those guys that went in pretty much come out the exact same way. Let's see if any other takers. Sure enough, we got some more takers here. Can they all get in cleanly? It looks like they do. Going to be led by Cody Richardson, Jerry Isaacs. And this was a bigger group. Oh, we got one in the grass. That's the 74. Oh, mistakes were made. I couldn't tell exactly who that is. The 74, though, is in the grass. Looks like he gets it straightened up now. And that is going to be Austin Fitzgerald. He is not even going to worry about going into his box right now. Oh, we got another one up here, the 65. Oh, no, what is happening here on the pit entrance? That's Andy Tico. Oh, and he pulls down on a couple of guys. I know that had to scare a couple of people. And it looks like he's got some pretty significant... It almost looks like that left wheel is banged up a bit. A little hard to tell. See if we can get a better shot of it. He's just trying everything he can here to get this thing around. Looks pretty banged up. There goes the JBR E-Racing team. Let's go back up front. Tyler Marble out by himself. He is going to have to find himself in the pits sooner or later, or he is going to start going backwards. Matthew Gearinger also in the pits. And I'll tell you what, pit road became a busy place in a hurry. We are going to have to take a look at some things. Before we do that, we're going to watch a couple of these guys to see how they all decide to play out with their pit stops. Wes Hurd Jr. still leading this big pack. They have not got the memo that it's time to pit just yet, as they are all staying out in this pack. Mr. Jeff Marble in that alloy wheel repair specialist paint scheme pushed his teammate in Duel 2 last week. Got him the win. We said how good he is at pushing, but right now it's not going to matter how good he is because they are too far behind that lead pack to have any chance at going for a win. A little surprised we didn't see a caution off that last incident. Let's go back and see what all happened. We had a couple things go wrong here, so we're going to take a look at each of them. First, we're going to start with Johnny McCulchek here in the 72 machine. Let's see what happens to him. And we're going to look at all these, I think, from the spotter view. Should give us the best angle of it. Here we go. 72 trying to get on pit road. Oh, he's going to lock it up. Gets in the 29 Carl Dotson. Oh, big hit for the 72 into the outside wall. Didn't even see this. And then Mayhem behind him, the 65. Oh, big shot into the 72. And that is where just about all these incidents happen. It was Andy Tico. We can take another look here. As you see, he's already sideways here. And this is a product of trying to get the pit road from the outside line. It's like the guy on the inside, the 74, wasn't ready to go. That was Austin Fitzgerald. Him and Andy Tico make contact, and the 65 gets pretty hard into the back of Johnny McCulchek. So that's going to get pretty big damage to the 65. Also, Andy Tico, or not Andy Tico, we saw Andy Tico hit there, but we also saw Austin Fitzgerald sliding through the grass after that contact. The 65 there just gets out of the grass, gets that thing back rolling. Like I said, I'm a little shocked we didn't see a caution on it, but sure enough, we didn't. So let's go back live up front. Go over your current top 5. It's going to be Joshua Watson still leading the field. Brian Watson second. Richard Elliott third. Danny Gutierrez fourth. And Alan Pajari rounding out the top 5. But you see further back, this main pack has really narrowed it down. Bill Benedict and Brian Conklin, the last 2 cars in it. So that makes it a 10-car lead pack right now. And if we just continue to go green, that is going to make it less and less likely for some of these other guys to catch. Dave Sanders, Carl Dotson, and Jeff Shutt in that second pack, and you see these two going to catch on to that second pack. Cody Graham, Kyle Oakley, Ryan Shiro, Tracy Powers, they're also trying to group up. And then it's going to be a 5-car pack being led by Scott Naslin. Jeff Marble, they're trying to hang on to this pack. He's got the 21 of Cody James behind him. And then Ryan Haynes leading the 4th pack in the 39 machine. Couple stragglers after that. Glenn Grigsby by himself. Jeffrey Souza, Austin Fitzgerald. Oh, yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is out. What has happened here? We are looking for it right now. I'm not exactly sure what happened. 72 Johnny Mikulchuk making his way off pit road now. At 65 Andy Tico. Not sure exactly what the yellow was for. Let's see if we can maybe figure it out. Andy Tico potentially. I'm not sure if this was what caused it or not. You see him on the apron here just getting up to speed. Like I said, not sure if this was anything to the cause of the caution. That's what we're trying to find out at the moment. 65. Looks like he was able to get off pit road clean. So Andy Tico not the cause of it. A little bit unsure where exactly this was caused. We will go through the field until we can find it here. 27. Looks like these guys are all okay. We didn't get anybody. We didn't get any report of anybody going off track or anything of that sort. And I'll tell you what, I am not so sure about what the caution was for. We looked and looked for it, but we are not seeing anything right now. Johnny Mikulchuk coming out of pit road. I'll tell you what, I'm not really sure what brought out that caution you just saw there. We looked through the field, didn't see anything. Maybe we'll get some insight here as these guys are coming down pit road. Top 5, those going to be Joshua Watson, Brian Watson, Richard Elliott, Danny Gutierrez, Alan Pajari in the 34. How about Alan's paint scheme? I know we've talked about it already in the duels and the clash, but that has got to be the funniest paint scheme that I've seen. The Big Gut, of course, his sponsor. 42 of 100 laps completed so far. If you're here watching, you're watching the Capital Auto Daytona 250. The FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series makes its first stop here at Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. Blue Jay says iRacing Race Control, just doing iRacing Race Control things and stuff. Absolutely, as we could not find that caution. And don't get me wrong, I'm still a little bit new to the broadcasting side, of course. So I may have missed something, but all the data that I can view here, I was not able to find who went off track. We went through the field manually. You guys didn't see anything either. Be interesting to see if anybody does decide to pit here. They're still not able to make it if they do. But some of those guys that weren't able to hang with the pack so well on pit stops, maybe thinking about taking a little extra fuel here so on that next pit stop they don't have to pit, or they don't have to take as much fuel, excuse me. And that can maybe gain them some time. As we are under our first caution of the night, we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back. Stick with us.
Capital Subaru, we value your time. Whether you're here for service or working with our amazing sales team, everything is right here for your convenience. We offer a great selection of Subarus, an industry-leading service center that keeps you moving, and so much more. Like our living green wall, just one of the many features throughout our dealership. Looking for the perfect pet gift? Check out Happy Paws Pet Shop right here in our lobby. Or plan your next adventure in our fireside seating and find your happy place. It's always your time at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Back live at the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway for the Capital Auto Daytona 250 here in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Pace car lights are off. That means we are going green this next time. Joshua Watson to his outside. Brian Watson, row 2. It's going to be 2 more JBR e-racing teammates. That's Richard Elliott and Danny Gutierrez. And row 3 is going to be Alan Pajari and Jerry Isaacs. How about Jerry having a good night in the 51 machine? Trying to put it to that JBR e-racing team. And I'll tell you what, this man has just been so lights out here over FastTrack Sim Racing Speedway. We saw him fast in the clash, fast in the duels, fast tonight. And I don't know if anybody's got anything for him right now. If they do, they're going to have to figure it out soon. We are getting ready to take the green back. 45 of 100 laps going to be completed once we cross the line this time. Nick Kitchie out of the race. Only driver to currently retire from the race. Wes Hurd Jr. looks like is also off track at the moment. Andy Tico currently last. Green flag is back out. Good even restart. And we'll see if the 0-1 lets his teammate down this time. We saw the opposite on the first restart. The 0-1, of course, being pushed by the 0-4, but this time looks like maybe they're going to get a little racy with it. Danny Gutierrez is going to try to push that 0-4 out in front. Richard Elliott trying to prevent that from happening in the 0-2. And there they go right up to the top lane out of turn 2. Alan Pajari now leading the bottom. We'll see if somehow, some way this time he can put a fight to him. Down the backstretch, you see just how linked up they are. Richard Elliott not giving any room to the 0-1 right now. Finally comes off his bumper, but just for a second, that bottom lane. Cody Richardson trying to push Alan Pajari to the front. Bill Benedict now made his way up to the third spot on that inside lane in the Lego machine. Just 4 laps from halfway. Action starting to pick up again. These guys, of course, going to have to pit again if we go green that long, but each caution we see increases the chances a little bit more for the next caution. And you see everybody has fresh Goodyears now. They are ready to get really racy with it. They know how poor handling these things get towards the end of the run. So if you're going to make moves, make them now. Get what you can. It's going to be crucial, especially at the end of this race, where you get track position at. What spot are you starting in? Oh, little checkup right there on the outside. The 0-4 backs it up into his teammate, the 0-8. And that is going to give a little bit of run to the bottom here. You see Sean Kaltenbach about the 6 car back on the top lane. He had a wild save there during that first run. And Alan Pajari has been in position, but something with these setups that these JBR e-racing fellas have figured out, they have just not been able to be stopped. Later in the race, I think we'll see other people do everything they can to go against them, but I have not seen 4 cars be so strong together. And that bottom line just not able to do anything right now. You see they just continue to push away up top. Alan Pajari just about out of the picture there on the right side. As these guys are absolutely scooting into turn 3. Let's take a look at the track map, see who all has faded to where. You see it there. Looks like we have a couple guys further back here. Andy Tico currently the last car on track. Looks like Wes Hurd Jr. in the 12 and Nick Kitchie currently not on track. We saw Nick Kitchie blow his engine up earlier. His race is done. 65 pretty heavily damaged on that left front. Not able to keep up with the draft. Johnny McCulchek also involved in that incident that did not bring out the caution. He's got damage. Matthew Gearinger, the last car in this lead pack here. And this time we don't exactly see that second pack trying to fade back so quickly. I think maybe they realize they fall back. There's a chance maybe they don't get all the way back up to the front. Take that caution as maybe your one chance to not make any more mistakes. They're taking full advantage of it right now. Richard Elliott taking full advantage of his teammate right now, pushing him all the way down the front stretch, through the tri-oval, down the short chute. You can push in these next gens in the turns. We're not seeing as much of it right now, at least in terms of the whole field. These two teammates so well coordinated, they can do it. The rest of the field not doing it right now, but yes, with these next gens, you can push in the corner. You want to make sure you don't offset. If you do that, you could turn the guy, but yeah, you can certainly push, get right on the bumper nice and easy. Get real aggressive in the turns. That's how we're going to see these runs be made late. You're not going to be able to make it to the front by just simply drafting. You're going to have to get aggressive, have to start pushing guys. And if they're not making any progress, you might have to move them out of the way. Let's talk about this inside line a little bit. Being led right now by Alan Pajari in the 34. Behind him is the 20 of Ryan Shiro. It seems like no matter what they try, it just continues to fade. If we saw enough guys on that top drop down, I think they'd have a chance. But I think from that first run, a lot of these drivers realized that bottom maybe not the place to be. And just as I say that up front, looks like we are going to have couple guys thought they were diving low for just a second, but it looks like just following their teammates' bumper. Sean Kaltenbach is going to go 3 wide on the top. So here comes a middle lane. All of a sudden, these guys really dicing up the 77. They are taking him 3 wide. It's Dave Sanders in the field, really getting split up. Tracy Powers in the mix. Ryan Conklin. Sean Kaltenbach now recovers. Looks like he's going to be able to clear that 3 wide battle. And look how quick they're falling off the draft. They got to be really careful right here. If they are not able to stay up there, they will lose this draft in a hurry. Looking further back in the pack here, see Scott Glasso. Scott's currently fallen back a little bit here in the 4 machine. Started towards the back, but he's managed to make his way a little bit closer to the front. Crawled up about 5 spots so far. Bottom lane has made a little bit of progress since we last left them. They are up to about the 5th car on that outside. But now we see that separation between packs, and this back line is going to need to try to line up soon. This front pack, however, maybe going to try to line up, put some distance on that 2nd pack. The more spread out these guys get, the less chance we have at caution. And we are just over halfway as these guys race down the Daytona super stretch. Joshua Watson, Richard Elliott, and Brian Watson pushing the heck out of each other into turn 3. 2 cars sometimes can be a lot to handle. Never mind 3, but these guys making it happen. One thing we noticed in that first run, remember, you saw some of these guys getting really out of shape, especially late in the run. On open setup, some of these drivers are setting their cars up to be fast. Fast is good, but sometimes fast can get a little out of hand sometimes. They do say loose is fast, tight is slow. But we see these top 4 fast and not really out of control. In that late run, they were still able to push each other. And I think once we get to the end of this race, as much as they've worked so well together right now, they're going to maybe forget about each other on that last lap. They're all going to go for it. I think we'll see that next pit stop coming somewhere around lap, if I had to guess, I would say anywhere between 30 and 40 to go. Maybe a little earlier depending on how close some of these guys want to cut it. I know these top 4 would like to break away from the pack. Easiest way to do that is to get a pit stop, put a gap on the rest of the field. Couple quick reminders, if you guys are liking what you're seeing tonight, whether it be the broadcast, the racing, or both, don't forget to give us a like, a thumbs up. Lets us know that you are enjoying it. Also, if you're new to the channel and you don't mind, give us a follow. We're trying to hit 500 as soon as we can. Joshua Watson still leading the field further back. Not a lot. We saw our first 3 wide action not too long ago, as we see some of these guys been able to catch back up. Unfortunately, though, not all of them. Glenn Grigsby, the last car in that pack. Further back, though, Jeffrey Souza pushing on the bumper of the lap car. It is one of the Musos. I can't tell who that is. It might be Jacob Musso. Yep, sure enough, the 95. Jacob Musso currently a lapper. Jeffrey Souza pushed on his bumper. You see they've all lined up, trying to get back up there, but I don't know if they're going to be able to. That front pack just running so fast. And you can take a look at your scoring tower there on the left as we got Andy Tico going on the apron. We're going to let this whole pack by. Doesn't want to do anything to potentially get anybody in trouble. Over 30 cars still on the lead lap. Nothing to be ashamed of. In fact, it is going to be 33 cars still on the lead lap. Jacob Musso, the first car lap down. So if we were to get a caution, he can avoid any wrecks. He would get his lap back. That bottom line looks like it's getting longer. Unfortunately, though, it's not getting any closer to the front. Alan Pajari still getting a big push from Ryan Shiro. You see, here we go. Right there. That's what it's going to take. They did it absolutely perfect. I want to see more of that from these two. Got locked on all the way through the corner just about. And look at the progress they made. About 2 to 3 cars in just that one corner all of a sudden. And I think maybe the 20 realizes this. He's going to tell the 34, hey, hold on, man. I'm going to give you as big of a push as I can. And those two are trying to go forward here on lap 56. Richard Elliott, though. Got a lap car coming up. That is going to be Johnny McCallcheck. Johnny was having a good night. Got caught up in an incident. It wasn't really much anything he could help. Just part of that pit stop cycle. Things get wild, out of hand in a hurry. And he is going to go a lap down. We'll see if he can maybe hang on to the draft. If he can stay as that first car lap down, he would still have a chance. But I'm not sure with the damage if that 72 can run at pace. This is going to make these guys 3 wide. Breaks up that outside for just a minute. Let's see if that gives the inside a chance to catch up. Alan Pajari still trying everything he can. You see the 90. Bill Benedict has fallen off about 2 car lengths. The 90 machine. Dave Sanders, Sean Kaltenbach, Tracy Powers. Tracy Powers, the Ghost Energy Drink. Paint scheme. I like that paint scheme. Nice bright car. You can't miss him. 29 Carl Dotson going to try to move forward here. He jumps 3 wide to the middle. Looks like he is going to gain a spot from it. Jumps back to the top lane. And I know these guys are just riding right now, but you better believe they are thinking about what they can do at the end of this race. They're practicing certain things right now. Some of these guys further back might be seeing how the runs play out. Some of them looking to see if they wanted to drop low, how much speed could they hold. The 94, though, it's going to be one of the Mussos. Eddie Musso, he's not really on the bumper of that 20 of Brian Shearer right now. They're going to need some help from him. 2 cars can go fast in these next gens. I did talk about it earlier, but they can only go so fast for so long. These cars heat up in a hurry. They do cool down a lot quicker than some of the other cars, but you're going to want to have that car at the end. And here we go. We're going to see another move further back. Looks like that is going to be the 91. Cody Graham, he's going to jump to the bottom in front of Alan Pajari. He's going to see if he can make his way to the front. Now, I always thought, I like that bottom, especially once these tires got old, but the top is faster. With open setups, these guys might be set up to where they run actually a little bit smoother on the top. Looks like the 91 thought about going up, get a side draft on the 90, thinks twice. Drops back down low. While these guys are still going racy, it's taking a quick moment to head over, check out the schedule for these upcoming races for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. You see it here. Next week, we are going to head to Auto Club. Big 2-mile oval, D-shaped oval. And that track is going to have a lot of 4, maybe even 5 wide racing, multiple groups at that track. Very excited for it. Then we head to Las Vegas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Texas, Richmond, Bristol, Martinsville. And you see it there. The next Super Speedway race is going to be Talladega Super Speedway. That is going to be one of the no bull races. Let's go back live to Daytona Super Speedway, rather. With Joshua Watson still leading the charge on the top with teammate Richard Elliott. 3rd is going to be Brian Watson. 4th, Danny Gutierrez. And 5th is going to be Jerry Isaacs. The bottom's starting to make a little bit of progress again, but I feel like every time I say it, they start to fall backwards. So maybe I'll just leave them alone. Looks like Fish Nick Guy. Give me 1 sec here, and I'll read what that says exactly. Fish Nick Guy in the chat asks, what's a no bull race? So you will see it. It'll scroll through on the top right. The no bull is a challenge, if you will, series of races, of 5 races. It's called the No Bull 5, and what it is the driver that has the highest average finish over the span of those 5 races will be earning some cash. I'm not sure the exact cash amount, but the No Bull 5 Challenge is, of course, sponsored by Capital Auto Group, and this is race 1 of 5 for the No Bull 5 Challenge. And it is the Capital Auto 250 here at Daytona. Pit stops maybe starting to play into a factor. Oh, we see that 91 get really out of shape. Cody Graham not linking up so well with the 34 of Alan Pajari. I know Alan's trying everything he can to get him up front, but sometimes certain cars just don't quite link up as good as they do with others. And that looked like the case there on old tires too. They're getting a little bit more sketchy. Coming off the turn and going into the turn is usually where it's the most wild, down the straightaway. As long as you square the guy up, they're usually pretty good. See him there going by like the 31. I think that might have been Matthew Gearinger. I couldn't tell exactly. Some of these guys, yep, sure enough, Matthew Gearinger in the 31 machine. Went a lap down, so we are now starting to see these guys get lapped. Here's a big move. It's like Cody Richardson, Jerry Isaacs dropped to the bottom. That leaves those 4 JBR e-racing machines up top. We'll see if they can hold them off. I'm not sure if this is a product of guys getting ready for pit stops or if these two are trying to go to the front. But that bottom lane keeps getting bigger and bigger. At a certain point, it's got to start making progress. And here we go. We're going to see the 4 JBR Racing drivers. They're also going to go to the bottom and try to block that run. And these guys in that fuel window now with 37 laps to go. So you got to think some of these drivers are thinking about it. We saw Joshua Watson lead the charge last time down pit road. We'll see if he decides to lead it again. I think at this point in the race, you want to be the first one in pit road. You certainly don't want to be the last, and you certainly don't want to come in by yourself. $64 of 100 laps completed so far here tonight. Joshua Watson, you better believe he has led all 64 of them. Well, not quite all 64, minus some of the lead changes we had during pit stops. But when it's been a pack like this, and after pit stops have cycled out, he's led all of them. I would take just a handful of laps from him. That outside being led now by Bill Benedict in the 90. Just shout out to Bill, doing a nice job, having a good run so far tonight in the Lego machine. Behind him is Alan Pajari. Ryan Shiro on the bottom, the 6. Jared Bundy on the top as well. Hometown Manton. One of the independent drivers. Doesn't have a team. Doesn't need one. You see him out here running with this main pack. I've heard it before. Drivers say it at Daytona. All you really need is a chance. If you have a chance, you're there in the last 2 laps. You got a shot at winning the biggest race of the season. Let me tell you something. We will be getting interviews from your top 3 at the end of this thing. I think the winner of it is going to be pretty excited. 35 laps to go. Alan Pajari now also jumps to the bottom, and this is going to continue to be a trend. More and more jumping to the bottom as we get ready for those green flag pit stops. And let me tell you something. I know it was important on the first one, but it's going to be even more important on this one to make sure you don't accidentally miss up. There's a big shot from Richard Elliott to his teammate. Now looking out the back of Brian Watson as you see Danny Gutierrez following behind, and you hear Brian not fully on the throttle all the way around like we heard Richard Elliott. Joshua Watson, that's for a couple of reasons. Usually don't want to push the pusher, especially in the turns, and you also don't really... These cars start to become a handful later on in the run. Oh yeah, you hear him burping it out of the corner there. He had to be really careful. Further back here, we hear even more throttle play. These guys really starting to stack up. No mistakes, though, is what we started talking about right there on these pit stops. Anything, speeding, overshooting your pit stall. If you make just a 1/10 of a second error, your race is going to be over. You don't want to rely on that caution. We almost didn't see one earlier. Kind of a caution that we, like I said, we really shouldn't have necessarily saw from what we could at least see. Some of these drivers further back, though, got to wonder if they saved any fuel to maybe help themselves out, get a quicker stop. Andrew Kotska, driver from Canada. You see it there, Welland, Ontario. Further back, we see some 3 wide racing. That second pack trying to bear down on this first pack. Not going to be able to do it if they're doing it that way. You can't get too racy. It looks like it is being led by Tracy Powers on the outside. On the inside, the 77 of Dave Sanders. And do they think about trying any different strategies at this point? I think you could take 4 tires. Will we see anybody try to take 2? Maybe even none. I don't think you want to risk taking none in these next gens. Handling becomes a big factor. I promise you, you can run faster in a group of cars with new tires than old tires in these next gens here at Daytona. Will we see anybody try to stay out? Some of those cars that are further back, do they stay out? Maybe hope for a caution further back. Looks like Eddie Musso, a little out of shape, jumped down to the bottom, gets it gathered back up. Do we see any of these guys maybe try a little bit of a different strategy than everyone else? Stay out, hope for a caution. We know Daytona's a crazy place. If we get a late caution, you better believe we're probably going to get a couple more of them. Getting a little bit of tow here off the lap car. I couldn't tell if that was the 72. Johnny McCallchuk. Yep, sure enough, that's who it is. Johnny having a rough night now, multiple laps down. Just trying to stay out here, hoping for something. Jacob Musso currently still sitting 1 lap down. First car a lap down still even. He is not out of it. You see these guys have fallen off for just a moment. We'll see if they decide to stick with that aggressive pushing. I think the 02 is just waiting for a little bit of a push from his teammate Brian Watson. The 04, Danny Gutierrez. I haven't said enough about Danny. He's been hanging around 4th just about the whole night. Hasn't been the lead pusher on any of his teammates just yet. but he's been a contributing factor, kind of in the caboose. Saw him and Richard Elliott trading that role early. Looks like Eddie Musso maybe thought about jumping out of line further back here. We'll see if he decides to hop back in. And just about, sure enough, with the 72 dropping in line, everyone in this lead pack now single file. Pit stops now just a matter of time as we see Dave Sanders trying to catch the draft of Scott Naisland. If he can just get in it, they will be able to pull up. But unfortunately, that gap sits at 3.7 seconds, and unfortunately, it is not closing, but rather continuing to gap out up front. They're not pushing as hard, but it doesn't matter. They're just too fast of a pack running too tightly together. It would take a lot of pushing and a lot of no mistakes all the way back there to get to the front. Sitting here watching the spotter, can't wait for these guys to pit, but we just haven't seen anything yet. So on this lap, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Go take a look at some of these other guys to sum up their day. Nick Kitchie, Wesser Jr., of course, off track. Andy Tico involved in an incident that didn't bring out a caution. You see that heavy left side damage. His day is just about over. Johnny Mikulchek involved in that incident with Andy Tico. Matthew Gearinger laps down. So is Brett Spod. We see him sitting on pit road. Patrick Steen. Scott Glasso. Not having too bad of a day. Another driver looking to maybe get that lucky dog. Jacob Musso sitting back here in the 95. Currently as the lucky dog, he's got Jeffrey Souza. Looks like Jeffrey and Tyler Marble drafting together. Tyler Marble started out strong. Looks like he's fallen back a little bit since. Cody Matthews, Ryan Haynes. Let's go a little farther up. Dave Sanders. Part of this second pack, trying to catch the first pack. I don't know if they're going to be able to. They only have 28 laps to do it, and there's going to be a pit stop in between, and we will see this main pack thin out a little bit more. We call that thing of the herd at these super speedway races. A lot of times we see it as the race goes on and as pit stops occur. We're going to see a lot of these guys, just little mistakes, big mistakes. Not going to matter if they lose that draft. Might be over. We could also see a potential battle in different drafts. I think these four teammates hoping, of course, to go by themselves. Last time we saw Alan Pajari follow. We'll see if he decides to go. Here we go. First round of pit stops. JBRE Racing is in it. Oh, we already see a lockup from the 04. Same with the 91 further back. Looks like everybody gets in clean right now. Oh, never mind. The 47 is in the grass. That is going to be Andrew Kotska. Still sliding. Gets it back onto the pits, but that mistake is going to cost him big time. Not sure if there's really anything he can do about it now. Still has to fuel the car. Joshua Watson came in first. We'll see if he exits that way. Drops the jack. Here comes the 29 of Carl Dotson. Maybe a different strategy. And it looks like the 29, nicely done, gets out first off pit road. Joshua Watson second. Danny Gutierrez third. Scott Naisland. Alan Pajari, but these guys are a lot more separated than what we saw in that first pit stop, and this is going to get interesting. We're going to have a race between a couple different packs. Carl Dotson. Looks like, oh, and this is the other group. We just caught it at the end. Looks like these guys didn't have any mistakes other than potentially maybe a couple guys getting a speeding ticket. We'll see if anybody does. Further back, Tracy Powers just barely makes it in that 25 Ghost Racing Machine. Todd Shiro also going to be the first driver off pit road in this group. Currently up 38 spots from where he started. Nicely done. But here we go. We're going to see this big pack with a huge head of steam. They will fly by here just a matter of time. There they are. Actually, this is not that main pack. This main pack is further back. Being led by, it was Joshua Watson initially, but that has changed a little bit now. It looks like actually Joshua Watson did retain the lead. So what happened to Carl Dotson here? This is coming off pit road. Oh no, he's already in the grass. Looks like he may have lost it coming off of pit road. Big mistake from the driver, the 29, who did such a nice job on his pit stop. Getting out first. You see it there. Does a nice job keeping it off the racing surface, but gets himself in the grass. And that grass is such a hard thing to get out of sometimes. Todd Shiro leading the field. Got a penalty. He's back down pit road, so that's going to trade it off to Tyler Marble, Jeffrey Souza, not Todd Shiro, Cody Richardson, who have all not pitted yet. 47, Andrew Kotska, of course, got a penalty. Joshua Watson running down this group. And this is where we're going to start seeing guys really go for it, This will be the race for the win in this pack, being led by Joshua Watson. You see it's currently sitting at 6 cars, but we'll see if we can get anyone else that's able to catch it. Bill Benedict, the last car in that pack, but Jeff Marble. Jeff is within range. I'm not sure if he quite has the draft. It looks like he's 1.2 seconds back, potentially just out of it right now. Cody James, though, has Brian Conklin. That's another Team Marble iRacing driver. And they're going to get right up to Jeff Marble. They'll go around him, but Jeff should be able to catch onto the back of this pack. Kyle Oakley. And back here, we got a couple of Musso teammates, the 94 and the 93. So we're going to see if these packs are all able to close in on each other. We'll make sure we watch the battle and let you know how it's shaping up. Cody Richardson now going to get flown by the 01 Joshua Watson, going right by his outside, getting a big push from his teammate, the 08 Danny Gutierrez. We were talking about how Danny was actually the caboose, if you will, just kind of the back of those 4 JBR teammates. But now he finds himself in front of Richard Elliott in the 22. How about Scott Naisland getting in here to break up this JBR e-racing pack? And this is going to add on a couple cars. The 47, of course, not on the lead lap. Had a penalty, had to go serve it. Alan Kotska. Sorry, Andrew Kotska. Still learning some of these guys' name. Just got through the grass, entering the pits. We showed you it. It wasn't what he wanted to have done, but the bed's been made now. All some of these guys can do is hope for a caution. 24 laps to go. We're starting to get down to the nitty-gritty here at Daytona. Tell you what, I just realized that my mic had been muted. I don't even know what to say about it. You guys got to tell me this stuff. Oh no, but 22 laps to go. I'm so sorry. The 01 Joshua Watson still out front leading. And I cannot believe that my mic was muted for that long. Please do tell me next time. If you guys don't hear me for a couple of laps, there is a reason for it. Oh my goodness. Up front. Can Joshua Watson hold him off though for 22 more laps? He's got Danny Gutierrez behind him. The 02 Richard Elliott was able to dispose of that 22 Scott Naisland, who was separating those couple. Further back, that pack that's being led by Cody James is getting a little bit bigger. They've got 5 cars. Jeff Marble in the back of them. They're pushing really hard. We'll see if it's enough to catch up. They're currently 2.6 seconds behind that front pack, but it is slowly closing. We'll see if they can find a way to catch him in time. Joshua Watson, though, has led just about every lap tonight. Take a handful away. He has been out in front in that 01 machine. His teammates also been with him the whole race. Who we don't see, though, up here now due to those pit stops, and this is what we talked about, why you got to be perfect. If you're not, this could happen to you. Their other teammate, Brian Watson, now sitting 30th in that 04 car. He is going to need a caution. You see him drafting there, catching the draft, rather. Tyler Marble, Jeffrey Souza, Carl Dotson. 20 laps to go, though, here at Daytona, and this front pack is bearing down on some lappers. We'll see if they play any effect on this pack. Will anybody try to use a lapper as a pick? I don't think we'll see a move from any of these front 3 until potentially that last lap. Further back, though, we might see a couple guys think about trying to make a move early. Right now, though, I think they're just trying to get as close as they can to the end of this thing. As far out as they are in front, they got to like where they're sitting. Let's take a look back again here. Cody James, we saw was 2.6 seconds back. That has stretched out to about 3 seconds now, so they have lost just under half a second. They're not going to give up yet. That is because this front pack caught a draft. That is where that time came from. The fact that they were still able to hold on to that lap pretty good with all that draft means they're pushing pretty hard in that back draft, and they might have a chance at catching. Danny Gutierrez not pushing maybe quite as aggressive as we saw Richard Elliott. Still trying to stick it to his teammate's bumper. But they just don't seem to be quite as fast. Take a look, though, at your track map up there in the top right. Daytona is a busy place right now. They're coming up on some lappers, and there will be multiple of them before this race is all said and done. Looks like a short track right now. We got drivers on the back stretch, in the turns, on the front stretch. Not what we saw at the start of this race with 2 organized packs. We saw in that second restart with just 1 organized pack. The 01 is shuffling lanes right now. Looks like they are going to pick up their 4th teammate. He's going to have to catch on the back of the draft, rather. But that 04, if he can catch on to it, he's got a clean car. I promise you, he's going to try to get up here and help his teammates. You never give up, even if you go a lap down, especially at these super speedways. You get your teammate a victory here, they might remember you for the next super speedway race. As the 08 now. He must have heard me not making fun of him, but telling him he wasn't pushing as hard because he is really locked onto the 01 now. You saw him push through the tri-oval down the short chute, no issues. Further back, we see the 04. Let me see. Looks like Jerry Isaacs, Cody Richardson. Those are 2 teammates, and if they can get to the front, they're going to have a say in the win in this thing. Alan Pajari, Bill Benedict, will they make a move? Scott Naisland, will he make a move? Going by the 72 of Johnny McCallcheck, multiple laps down, not been his night. 17 to go. I think action will really start picking up, though, with round 7 to go. We might start to see guys further back think about jumping out of line. Not everybody in this lead pack is on the lead lap. Sometimes those lap cars like to dice things up, make it a little interesting. They know they need a caution. And currently Brian Watson is your first car lap down, making it 29 cars on the lead lap. Let's go over your top 5. Joshua Watson first. Danny Gutierrez second. Richard Elliott third. Fourth is going to be Scott Naisland. And rounding out the top 5 is Alan Pajari. Driver out of Leander, Texas. The Big Gut paint scheme is sponsored. Dynamic Auto Sports driver. And this pack has grown. Let's take a look at this other pack that we were talking about. Let's see if they managed to catch any at all. It was being led. Cody James. They're looking for him now. There he is. Cody James sitting 9th in the 21 machine. He's got the 37th Brian Conklin behind him. And the gap back down to 2.8. So don't give up on this group just yet. And actually, they might even be closer than that because Jerry Isaacs is not by any means the last car in this pack, and that gap is continuing to shrink. So we are going to add a couple more into it as long as we stay the way we are now. Now down to 2.5 seconds. It looks like they may have caught the draft. This is going to get really crazy now. And you see that lead pack right there. They are just outside of the draft, but it's continuing to close. Now it's 2.3 seconds. Cody James doing everything he can. Brian Conklin trying to push him up there. This is what we thought we would see earlier, but now we're seeing it. It doesn't take a big pack. It just takes a pack of strong cars. This is only a 5-car group. Doesn't seem to matter in this case because they are making up a lot of time. They now have it down to about 2 seconds. Once they get into that 1.5 range, they will have the draft. And that front pack, doesn't matter how hard they try, they will be there, and they are going to be having a huge head of steam once they do arrive. Ride on board here. Actually, I want to go back to Cody James here and watch this because once they catch the draft, we'll leave the dashboard up. Oh, looks like the 65. That's Andy Tico. Looks like he had some issues. Oh, looks like he keeps it together. Not sure if he just got really loose I know he has quite a bit of damage. May have been the case right there. Nice save, though, by the 65. Cody James, 194 into turn 1. Absolutely flying. 13 laps to go. They know it's go time. They're doing everything they can. The gap has now stretched back out just a little bit. They are trying everything they can as they are really mixing it up further back in this lead pack. Cody James getting a big push into turn 3 from Brian Conklin in the 37. And we have not said anything about Brian so far tonight. How about it? The driver of the 37 Alloy Wheel Repair Specialist paint scheme trying to push the 21 up to the lead pack so he can have a chance at the win in the Capital Auto Daytona 250. 12 laps to go. Joshua Watson still leading the way. Seems like he's only been used to the front for this whole race. Scott Naisland. We are seeing some of these guys back it up. They are really getting disorganized. This tells me they are starting to plan out a couple different runs. Meanwhile, back here, Brian Conklin gets right on the bumper of the 21 and just shoves him all the way down the back. That gap did stretch back out a little bit here. This is not what Cody James wanted to see. They were making a ton of headway. Got it down to 2 seconds. It is back to 2.5 all of a sudden. Not sure if maybe Brian had to back off a little bit. Cool the temps. But these guys are so close to giving themselves a chance at it. They got to push with everything they've got right now. There's a pretty good view of it for you there. They can see the lead draft. And at tracks such as Daytona and Talladega, we know all you need is to get into that lead draft and you have a chance for the win. Teammates are a big part in making it to the end up front, but once you get to the end, teammates go out the window. Everybody wants to win the biggest race of the year. And if you want to win at Daytona, you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. Out of turn 4, though, Joshua Watson still in charge. I've been more fixated on this battle, but we will go back up front now where Joshua Watson has now closed in on 10 laps to go. Still has his 2 teammates, the 08 of Danny Gutierrez and the 02 of Richard Elliott behind him. After that, it's going to be Alan Pajari, the 90 of Bill Benedict. And then we have 2 Mad Sim Racing teammates, Cody Richardson and Jerry Isaacs. I think those 2 might be where the first move comes from. I'm not 100% sure on that, but the 04, we know who he's going to go with. It is Brian Watson, currently a lap down, but if these guys start dicing it up and he finds his way to the front, he's going to try to help his teammates. And will the 08 make a move? Will the 02 make a move? If they don't, you better believe Alan Pajari, Scott Naisland, and all these drivers in the lead pack are considering it. They have lined up, gotten a little bit more organized now, and they're trying to put some time back on this second pack who we thought was going to catch them. But now the gap has went back to 3 seconds, and I don't know if they have enough time. Gap was actually 3 seconds on the leader, so I do apologize. They have closed the gap down to the back of this draft, back down to 2.1 seconds. So Cody James and Brian Conklin have found a little something extra. The 17, that's Kyle Oakley. He plays a little bit of part in this as well. He's got to stay close to this 37. When the 37 falls off the bumper of the 21, he needs some arrow push behind him, which is Kyle Oakley's job, in order to get back to the bumper of Cody James as soon as he can. So Kyle Oakley also trying everything he can. A couple other guys tagged on behind. Gap now is 1.8 seconds. They are now in the same tri-oval, just outside of the draft. They need a little bit more. They might catch him the next lap or so. Gap now 1.5. They have done it for the moment. They are in the draft. Can they pull all the way up? You see the speed right here coming out of the turn, 190. Watch their speed pick up hugely down the backstretch here. 95, 6, 7, almost 198, 99, 200 we saw for a split second into turn 3. And there they are. Cody James has now found the back of the draft. Those 3 in the back of the draft, actually 4 are lap down cars, but either way they caught it, and they're going to make a move right away, go to the outside. They've got a lot of momentum. They're going to try to carry it all the way to the front. 7 laps to go. Here comes Alan Pajari. Now we're going to see a block from Scott Naisland up top. Goes the JBR E-Racing team. Now we see Scott Naisland back down to the bottom. Things have picked up all of a sudden here. Off of turn 2, it's still going to be Joshua Watson in charge. We saw those guys try to make a move on the top. No dice. Back down to the bottom, though. Scott Naslund getting a push from Alan Pajari. Will the 46. Cody Richardson try anything? He is now that fourth car on the outside. He would have his teammate Jerry Isaacs behind him. Two Mad Sim Racing drivers trying to get it done. And I'll tell you what, is this 47 car, the lap car of Andrew Kotska, he might be a Mad Sim Racing driver. Let's see. Sure enough. So you better believe he's going to go help his teammates. Doesn't care that he's a lap down. If they wreck, they wreck. But remember, no fast repairs. 6 laps to go. If we do find a way to take the white flag as well, there will be no more cautions. That was the first of an ambush of moves that we will see as these laps wind down. JBR E-Racing was able to defend it with all 3 of their drivers, but they're not going to be able to do that forever. They're trying to fend off as much as they can, but we are seeing the runs pick up. Further back, these guys getting a little desperate, trying everything they can. Cody James, Brian Conklin, Kyle Oakley, and we see another little pack right here. Bill Benedict is on the lead lap. So is the 77 of Dave Sanders. They're going to try to catch back up to this draft, add a couple more players into it. Andy Tico goes down on the apron, very respective of the leaders, going to stay out of the way. 5 laps to go for the biggest race of the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series season. It's the Daytona 250, presented by Capital Auto Group. Who's going to win it? Joshua Watson's been dominant all night. The 08, the 02, his teammates. Will they make a move? How about further back, the Mad Sim Racing? They now have 3 teammates lined up. Alan Pajari, he's been up front. Can the driver from Lindenville, New York, win? He won his duel. Can he win at Daytona? Will his teammate make a move on him? I know teammates are supposed to help you and push you the line, but in a race this big, I don't think you can do it. Now we see the bottom starting to stack up. Alan Pajari is getting a huge shot from Cody James. We'll see if they can make their way to the front. 4 laps to go this time. And I'll tell you what this is doing. This is allowing that 04 Brian Watson to slowly work his way up. And if he gets up there, he's going to help his teammates. He would not make a move for the win because he is a lap down. Now we're going to see the 51 Jerry Isaacs drop slow. So does Cody Richardson. Here comes the bottom lane. Will they have enough? JBR E-Racing maybe thinking about blocking. They choose not to yet as the momentum starts to fade further back. Not sure what happened, but these 3 just made a gap. Was it too much? Scott Naslund on the bottom. No, on the top, excuse me. The 47-inch Andrew Kotska trying to pull Cody Richardson, Jerry Isaacs back up, but we have just not seen this bottom making any progress. Oh, they're wrecking out back to 17. The 3. Can they? No caution yet. 17 was Kyle Oakley. Looks like he gets it back rolling, so we are going to stay green. Let's go back up front. Joshua Watson still in charge, and now all 4 JBR E-Racing teammates are back lined up. What does the rest of the field have for him? That moves Bill Benedict. Scott Naslund, will they try to make a move? The 21, Cody James, has fallen back. They are 3 wide. Alan Pajari in the middle. And don't look now, but look who's made their way up to the top 6. Jeff Marble. We know how good of a pusher he is. He jumps to the top in front of Dave Sanders. They are 3 by 3 further back. They're going to have to line up and try to make a run. These guys are going to have to work together in order to beat those 4 JBR E-Racing teammates. 2 laps to go. Last chance for a caution before we will finish this thing under green no matter what. Jeff Marble jumps back down to the bottom. Not going to get any help from anybody right now. Scott Naslund looks like he thought about it, but he's going to stay up top. Maybe he's going to think about saving his move for that last lap. I think if you're going to go, you got to start trying it now. Brian Kaufman jumps to the bottom to help his teammate Jeff Marble. Joshua Watson, though, still in charge out in front. The 2 Team Marble iRacing drivers are falling back. Will we see any of these 4 make a move? And if so, when will they do it? Joshua Watson, though, out of turn 4, still leading the way into the trial. Well, here we go. White flag is out one more time around Daytona. 77, Dave Sanders further back on the bottom, trying to get a run going. He's got 4 cars with him. No move yet for the lead. Down into turn 1. Everybody still staying tucked in line behind that 01. Scott Naslund, though, looks like he's trying to back up for run. On the bottom now we see the 77. The 90, Bill Benedict. Will he go down to 22? I think they're going to have a chance at it. Big run by the 22. Does he take it? Sure enough, he does. Here comes Scott Naslund and Bill Benedict. The 90 drops to the bottom. Will the 04 be able to block? He's not going to be able to, but the JBR E-Racing teammates are going to come down out of turn 4 for the final time. Will we see a move for the win? Joshua Watson still in charge. Oh, his teammate gets to his outside. Now the 02 Richard Elliott goes to the line side by side. It's going to go to Danny Gutierrez in the 08. What a win! He waited and waited until the last turn, pulled out on his teammate in the 08 of Danny Gutierrez, wins the Capital Auto 250 at Daytona. And he is not even going to burn that thing down. Wow, just won the biggest race. Doesn't seem to be too phased by it. We are going to go start finding your top three, so we will be right back as these guys all do the cool down lap. Stick with us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and I am here with your second and third place finisher. Unfortunately, your winner has had to step away with some personal issues, so we will respect his privacy right now. Danny Gutierrez, that was. But let's talk to your third place finisher, Richard Elliott. Richard, you got a copy?
I got you.
All right, well, how about it? You come home third. JBR E-Racing gets a 1-2-3 finish. I'll tell you what, I think you guys might have had a 1-2-3-4 if your other teammate, Brian Watson, would have been up there with you. But you guys were dominant all day. How'd you decide to come home third and stick with your teammates at the end?
We made an agreement last year, and it's all about teammates. If that's where you're at, that's where you're at. It's push whoever's in front of you to the win.
Well, you certainly helped push Danny Gutierrez to the win, kept Joshua Watson out in front. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, Josh and Brian for our JBR team. You for doing all this. Jeff and Tyler for the league. And Anheuser-Busch company I work for. The beer was on my car today, so all good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your third place finisher, Richard Elliott in the O2 machine. Now we're going to move on to your second place finisher, Joshua Watson. Joshua, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, he just inched you out at the line, man. You were dominant all day. What more did you need just right at the start-finish line to keep the lead and win it?
Just tires were getting a little worn towards the end and whatnot, and probably should have kept it high, but just trying to keep our team together. I'm not. I win. If it's more about getting the team win. We always win as a team, lose as a team, and we were there, and I got a little loose, and um, he did the right thing. He moved high versus getting into me when I got a little loose and wrecking me and possibly taking all of us out of contention. So he did the right thing there. That's what he had to do. And at the end of these things, we're all teammates. But I've always told all my team members, it's once we come off of turn 4 on the white flag, it's kind of every man for themselves. I'm not going to sit here and say you have to follow me or you have to follow whoever. If somebody wants to try it, then try it. But the big thing is just making sure that the team is up there and still getting, the 1, 2, 3. Fortunately, we didn't get the 1, 2, 3, 4 because my brother had a small miscue on pit road and um, had his car stall on pit road. But other than that, it was, for what we wanted, perfectly executed race. we were able to control the top, the bottom, do pretty much what we wanted, and just can't thank everybody on this team enough.
Perfectly executed is a perfect way to put it. Is there anyone you want to thank or shout out before we let you go tonight?
As always, I'd like to thank obviously everybody on the team, Danny, um, Richard, my brother Brian, our other team member, like I said before, who's not with us on Monday nights due to his work, but Adrian, all my family, my girlfriend, my kids, my parents, everybody that supports me, Ryko Motorsports for putting these setups on for us, and um, they were bad fast the entire speed weeks here. I got to thank my um, company, Mayer Brothers, where I work. My brothers work, Polymer Products, obviously Budweiser. They're all in the car. I got Hoyt and Moultrie too, um, and obviously Jeff and Tyler for putting this on, and you for broadcasting.
All right, thank you. Congratulations. That is your second place finisher, Joshua Watson. And again, out of respect of privacy, your winner did have to go deal with some personal issues, so we're going to let him deal with this thing. Either way, we congratulate your winner tonight, Danny Gutierrez in the 08. And we are going to let these guys go real quick before we read off your final results so they can get back to their meeting. All right, and let's start with your winner tonight. We just talked about it. Danny Gutierrez in the 08 comes home first in the Capital Auto Daytona 250. I know he was probably ecstatic about that. We'll hear from him hopefully next week, hoping all goes well for him. Second is going to be Joshua Watson. Third, Richard Elliott. Fourth, it's going to be Cody Richardson. Fifth, Dave Sanders. Sixth, Scott Naslin. Seventh, Jeff Marble. Eighth is going to be Bill Benedict. Ninth, Alan Pajari. 10th, Jerry Isaacs. 11th, Brian Coughlin. 12th, Cody James. 13th, Austin Fitzgerald. 14th is going to be Brian Curry. 15th, Cody Graham. 16th, Sean Kaltenbach. 17th, Jeff Shutt. 18th is going to be Tracy Powers. Moving down the field, 19th is going to go to Joe Musso. 20th, Ryan Shiro. 21st, Glenn Grigsby. 22nd, Kyle Oakley. 23rd, Eddie Musso. 24th, Tyler Marble. 25th, Carl Dotson. 26th, Cody Matthews. 27th, Ryan Haynes. 28th, Jared Bundy. 29th, Jeffrey Souza. 30th is going to be Andrew Kotska in the 47. 31st, Brian Watson. 32nd, Todd Shiro. 33rd, Scott Glasso. 34th is going to be Jacob Musso. 35th, Patrick Stein. 36th is going to be Matthew Gearinger. 37th, Johnny McCallcheck. 38th, Andy Tico. 39th is going to be Brett Spod. 40th, Wes Hurd Jr. And rounding out the field in 41 with that engine expiration early is going to be Nick Kitchie. What a great race. What a great finish. Let's go back and take a look at it before anybody decides to get out of here because it was pretty close, pretty down to the wire. Let's see if we can get a good view of it here. Back this up. Let's go to a better camera angle here. Actually, we can show it to you here from the lineman, flagman. Let's get to it here. Let's take a look here from TV1. And this is going to be coming off of turn 4. This is where the move happens. Watch the 08 of Danny Gutierrez. You heard Joshua Watson say he got a little bit loose. There goes his teammates around the outside. Into the trial, the 02 was a little bit more behind the 08. I think that gave Danny Gutierrez just what he needed to inch it out here right at the line. And boy, it really was just that close. Margin of victory was 3/100ths of a second for the 08. You wonder these guys were going to go at it at the end. Sure enough, they did, but it was a very clean race overall. I thought maybe we'd have a caution there at the end. Richard Elliott thought about taking it 3 wide right there. Unfortunately, ran out of time. Let's take one more look at this. Different view. Look at this. TV2. See if we get a better shot of it. You see, there he goes. He wiggles. The 08 takes advantage of it. And then the 01 just needed a little bit something extra right here to get it done. He didn't have it. And right at the line, just like that, the 08 inches him out by about half a car length. Your win goes to Danny Gutierrez. Quick reminder before everybody leaves, The next upcoming race for the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series is going to be Auto Club. That's next week. Going to be another 100-lap race, and it's Las Vegas. And the third race after that is going to be Phoenix for 156 laps. I do want to thank everybody for coming out. I apologize for that little mid-race miscue where my mic was muted. Just remember, guys, if there's any issues, please let me know. If you're new to the channel and you like what you saw, please leave us a like and subscribe. I hope everybody did enjoy. That was the Capital Auto 250 at Daytona. We will see you guys next time. Have a good one.